all about whether you should change your DAW, your digital audio workstation. Now, this is a pilot version of a new show, and I'm very happy to be joined by Mike from the Creative Source YouTube channel. How are you doing this evening, Mike?
Woo! Very exciting
Yay!
times, Pete. It's our new show. I'm excited. I'm good, thanks. How are you, mate? You were watching some football today, were you?
I was watching my Adelaide Crows lose, but the less we talk about that, the better. So let's jump in and talk about a little bit about who we are and what we're talking about today. So my name is Pete. I'm from Studio Live Today, which is my YouTube channel, and Mike is here from Creative Source. Now, if you want to subscribe to our channels, you can check those out down in the links in the description, and you can subscribe and keep up to date with all of that. But what we're doing in this show, so here's a little bit about the format. We're going to be having a little backstage report, and that's my name for what we're going to talk about. We've got 1 minute each to talk about what's happening in our channels. We're then going to talk for our 10 minutes. So we're going to put the timer on, Mike, for 10 minutes for our topic. And then we're going to talk all about DAWs. And then we're going to wrap up here. But let's start by finding out what's been happening in the world of Creative Source in the last week.
I'm very excited this week, actually. And I broke all of the rules because you're supposed to, at my stage, make quick and easy videos. But I made a really, really difficult video, which took me like 2 full days to make, which is insane. But it was worth it, I think, because I'm really pleased with the results. I tested 3 microphones and I did a blind test so that people watching the video don't know which of the 3 microphones they're listening to, and they have to put in the comments which ones they prefer. And there was a Rode mic NT1A in there. There was an SE Electronics one, an X1, and also, what was the other one? Oh, yes, an Audio Technica AT2020, a very popular microphone. So I think those things could be of interest to people using GarageBand on their iPhone if they've got an interface. So yeah, please do check out that video. And I'm going to be releasing the results in about a week's time. And at this stage, I can just say that people might be a bit surprised.
Oh, I love that, because I did watch the video and I put my vote in. I think I was, I won't tell you which one I'm on because I don't want to skew the results. But yeah, let it be known that I may be replacing my trusty Samson CO1 with whatever you recommend or whatever your audience recommends, because always looking for a new mic. So yeah, over on Studio Live today, we've been talking about GarageBand because that's what we do over here. We've been talking about GarageBand on the iPhone and the iPad, but I've recently just dropped another mic. It's a week for the mic, so another microphone video where I'm talking USB microphones. So I've been talking about all the different varieties and types of USB mics that you may want to check out. So that is the latest video there. But as always, I'm talking all things mobile recording, and I want to help folks create, record, and release their best music, which is a good segue into our topic for today. So we're going to be talking about whether you should change your DAW. Now, I know you're a PreSonus Studio One user, and I'm a GarageBand user here, but you've done some videos, well, you've done a video recently all about the BandLab DAW. So want to tell us a little bit about that? Did that sway you into using that as your DAW of choice?
Well, I had actually used that DAW before because it was my previous DAW. So a quick catch up on this. So Cakewalk is one of the oldest DAWs. And I think it was, I could get this completely wrong, but I think it was owned by Roland, who was something to do with Gibson and blah, blah, blah. It all fell apart. And there was this asset called Cakewalk, which, you know, the poor people had bought the thing, you know, and now they're giving it away for free. But but I had used it. It was my DAW before using Studio One. I did change, didn't I? And that's the topic, because I was going to say a short answer: no, don't change your DAW. But then I'm revealing that I did change my DAW about 4 years ago. But no. Cakewalk is I really enjoyed using it. I wouldn't change back to it, but for somebody who is starting out doing this and they don't want to spend any money, I think it's as good as ones you can spend money on.
Absolutely, and yeah, and I started out. The weird thing is that I started out with a Cakewalk product. It was a Cakewalk product called Music Creator
Mm,
version 7, I think, at the time. And
yeah, that was
when I
rubbish.
first, yeah, it was rubbish. When I first got back into recording on my PC, I grabbed that because it was like $30 or $40,
Mm,
and I
mm,
bought it
mm,
because I wanted something cheap and easy, and I wanted to record music. So I did the same
mm,
sort of thing, and then went down the track, and eventually I landed on Reaper. So Reaper's been my PC DAW of choice, and then of course, as most people on this channel know, I moved into GarageBand, especially on the iPhone and the iPad, which has been my DAW of choice in recent times.
mm.
But my answer is exactly the same as yours, which is if when folks actually come to me and say, should I change my DAW? I say, no, I say stick with what you've got, stick with what you're using. But the reason I do that is not because I fear new things. And tell me if you've had the same experience. But I think what a lot of folks do is that they think that a new DAW is going to lift the quality of their creations.
Mm.
And what I find is that most of the quality from your actual music comes from writing good songs, recording them well with good quality microphones, good quality interfaces, and then knowing your DAW and being able to use it correctly, or not correctly, but being able to use it efficiently and effectively to create great music. Is that something you agree with or disagree with?
I might play devil's advocate a little bit
Do
here.
it.
And I think if I was going to give people advice about when they should change their DAW, I'd say when your current DAW isn't working for you in terms of workflow.
Yep.
So I just think that workflow can get in the way of that creativity. And the other way around, if it's a really good sort of design and a good workflow which suits you, then it will just make you more productive. It'll encourage you to get in there and actually make music. So an example of this might be, for example, Fruity Loops.
Yep.
Fruity Loops, in my opinion, is really, really good if you're creating the sort of music which does a lot of loops, hence the name, I guess, Fruity Loops, but which is step-based sort of programming of music.
Yep.
Fruity Loops is awesome for that. But now the Fruity Loops, people are going to hate me now, but if I go into Fruity Loops to record a traditional song like, guitar and vocal, I'm like,
Yeah.
where the hell do I start with this thing? I don't know how to
Mhm.
do this. So, and that would be an example of where you've got to find the one that suits you. And it
Yep.
may be that the most popular one, say, for example, people went, oh, well, everyone says Pro Tools is awesome, I
Mhm.
should do that. Then I would say they could be wrong about that. It may not suit them.
Absolutely, and yeah, and that's probably the next phase. So again, I won't play devil's advocate because I'll agree with you that it really is around what you're producing and what you're comfortable with. And workflow
Mm.
is the word you mentioned there, and to me, that is 100% the key. Because if your workflow suits what you're using right now, and again, because I use GarageBand, a lot of folks say, "I can't believe you use GarageBand. Why wouldn't you use a real DAW?" And my response to that is, it suits my workflow. I can pick up GarageBand on my phone. I can plug in my audio interface. And yes, GarageBand can use an audio interface or a microphone. And then I can just start recording and I can start creating. And that works for me because if I want to start with loops, that's cool. If I want to start with a guitar track, a microphone track, a vocal track, whatever it is, I can actually just get started. And I found that when I was using Cakewalk products and when I was using Reaper, it was great in terms of flexibility, but it didn't set me up for success in that everything was just a blank template. And if you want that 100%, open creative approach where you've just got like that record button and you hit it and you record and everything is you, then that is great. And again, you might want to go from one DAW that does that, and then eventually you get comfortable with it and you move to another. So, I mean, why don't you tell us? So you've alluded to the fact that now you moved from a Cakewalk product into Persona Studio One. What made you make that switch? So you've changed doors. What made you change?
The worst possible reason, actually, because I would just happen to be geeking out. I suppose there's a bit of a backstory. I'd been a Cubase user at one time, tried that out for a while, like that actually, but kept going back to Cakewalk. And I was often considering getting into Pro Tools. And then I got the opportunity to use Pro Tools for a couple of weeks at a friend's studio. And I really hated it. I really, really wanted to like it, but I found it very restricting. And the main reason, of course, people were using Pro Tools is because it's an industry standard, and if you want to take your tracks from one studio to another, then that's a really good thing. But I'm reading in the music press at that time, about 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of people were saying, "Hey, I'm switching from Pro Tools to Studio One." There was a lot of discussion about that, and I was just fascinated. So I thought, "Oh, I'll give it a go." And what I liked about it is it felt very lightweight compared to Cakewalk. It seemed to just start up really, really quickly. It's very, very stable. Not that Cakewalk was that bad, but I don't think I've ever had a crash in 4 years of Studio One use. And the big thing for me was it has a fairly unique feature, and that's the fact that it's got a specific mastering features within it. So you're not just mastering within your actual DAW on a stereo track. You kind of take that to a project where you can put all of your songs together in a project and master them all together, and you can actually release to things like SoundCloud directly from there. And I like that sort of workflow. So that sold me on it, and you know, that's why I like it. I just a little point here, because I know that you'll have a lot of iOS users being GarageBand focused, and I'd love to give Logic a go, except that Apple don't have a free trial available. So if you'd all like to write a letter to Apple, I'm sure that they'll take it very, very seriously.
Yes, we all know how responsive Apple are when you contact them with feedback. And
surely you've got influence, haven't you, Pete? You've got lots of influence at Apple, haven't you?
Yes, despite what many people might think, I do get the occasional comment saying, "Pete, could you let Apple know that in the next version of GarageBand, we would really like a master bus?" And I'd say, "Oh, get right on that." So no, that's a very good point. And as a non-Mac owner that doesn't even use GarageBand on Mac, I know, sacrilege. But yeah, I would also like to use Logic, because Logic is good. And I think you've said before that Logic has some good things, like it has the icons there. It has a lot of those workflow things that are just going to help you get creating. And I guess that's the point we make as we near the end of our 10 minutes rant on this topic. The point is that it is horses for courses, for want of a better phrase to put out there, but it really depends on a couple of things: is what you're recording, what your workflow is like. But I think that the final point that I want to make around your DAW is that don't change because you think it's going to make your songs better. If you go to Pro Tools, Logic, Presonus Studio One, whatever it is, you need to actually write and record better songs for it to be better. But if your workflow needs to be different, or if you want to try something different with your workflow, then that is a good reason to actually switch. What say you, Mike? Do you agree, or are you going to go devil's advocate on me?
No. I think that's probably the only relevant reason, because they all do the same thing at the end of the day. It's not like some of them record audio at a better quality than others or something like that. They all are a combination of recording audio, usually recording MIDI, and some connection to external devices or virtual instruments, and they sequence them all together and chuck out stereo audio at the end of the process. That's a very simplified way of looking at music production, isn't it?
It's beautiful. I like it. It's very simple.
That's what they spew out, and they all do that. There's none of them that you go, "Oh, that one's great, but it doesn't do MIDI." So they all do it. Some of them just do it with a different, I won't say better workflow, because all of our brains work in a slightly different way. So what's good for you may not be good for me, and that's what makes us lovable and unique.
Exactly. And we all want to be lovable and unique. And what a better, nice, positive message than to end this show on. So I hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun here, Mike. I love chatting about these sort of topics. We will be back every week, but we want to hear from you as well. So what are you using? Are you thinking of switching DAWs? What DAW do you use right now? Let us know down in the comments, and let us know about this show as well, because we hope that we can make this interactive and ongoing. We'd love to have you join us. I know we gave you zero notice this week, but we'd love to switch it up and have this on our various channels every week as well, to make sure that we can have a bit of a two-way conversation. Well, three-way, I guess, because Mike and I will be chatting here, and we'd like other people to chat as well.
I should say that thanks to the people that did join us, we've got Real Ravioli. Hi, Real Ravioli. Earthling. Yes. These are your regulars. I think you recognize them. Stanley Freeman from Liverpool.
Yes.
I was going to do a Liverpool accent then. How ridiculous. Good day, Stanley. How are you? Something like that. And Ken's Pad. I don't think you can see these comments. Can you see, Pete?
I absolutely can't. So
yes,
I can. There you go. So this is the joy of doing a pilot, and I was chatting to Mike, but behind the curtain we were chatting about this and like, should we do this live? And Mike's like, let's do it live. Let's just go. So hello to all the folks here.
And Ken's Pad. He did ask us. He's asking me to do a Scottish accent now. I'll get to that in a moment, I think. But we did have Ken's Pad ask about a DAW. I don't know about this one, Pete. It's called Aurea Pro.
Yeah, there you go. So that's my iOS peeps. So Aurea Pro and Cubasis are two of the other big iOS apps. So once you graduate from GarageBand, a lot of folks have said to me, Pete, why aren't you trying out Aurea or Cubasis? And the answer is that I've been using this DAW for 4 or 5 years, and I still haven't done everything in GarageBand that I want to do. So maybe in 2019, I'll be testing out some new iOS DAWs. So watch out for those on the channel over here, and maybe we can get our friend Mike here on board and to be on there. But no, thank you for that, because I honestly didn't see those chats, and yeah, it's our first time doing a live hangout here, so we do really appreciate you folks coming along.
My first ever live hangout of any kind, so thanks folks, you've been kind. And even Stanley said that my Liverpool accent wasn't too bad.
It sounded just like the Beatles to me, but that's my only exposure to Liverpool, really.
You've just got to talk like that. Like.
So perhaps before we isolate a few other cultures and folks around the world, although you can get away with it being of British descent, you can you're allowed to do that, right? Just like I can use a New Zealand accent, because it's kind of the same thing, right? We will be back anyway. Like I said, thank you for those who are here live. If you're watching on the replay, please leave a comment. Let us know what you liked or didn't like about this and about the format of this show as well, because we will be back and we will be doing this show. We will make it more interactive and based on your feedback and your comments as well. So what parting words do you have for our folks here on the show here, Mike?
I have the parting words of changing your DAW is a bit like changing your wife. You should do so with great care.
I have nothing better to add than that, so I'm going to graciously bow to you, sir, and say thank you for joining me here today. For those that have been watching here, I hope you enjoyed it. Check out the description below. You can subscribe to Mike's channel over at Creative Source, and most of you, hopefully, are already subscribed to Studio Live today here, but we will be back next week with a lot more notice and with another topic. If you'd like to talk about the topic that you would like, then put that in the comments as well. We will consider all suggestions. Thanks, Mike. We'll catch you soon.
See ya. Bye.